I expected the U.S. to be right back in the medal contention with Canada going for gold. I was kind of left disappointed, right? I remember TJ Oshie with that incredible shootout performance in those Olympics, and then I just obviously now like a lot of people like where USA is going in terms of like the talent that they have all across the board. And so, yeah, it's a pretty solid list when you look at who was invited.
Yeah, well, let's throw the list up here. We've got the list of names that have all been invited to the Ford camp. It was 44 players in total, and like we mentioned, 2 of which members of your Toronto Maple Leafs in Austin Matthews and Matthew Knies. But look, it's a good collection of players. Like, you've got Jack Eichel. You've got Patrick Kane, who's been a staple, who wasn't at Four Nations, but will he make the Olympic team? I think it's interesting that Patrick Kane might have an opportunity here. Jack Hughes will be there. JT Miller, right? You're looking at some solid players. Jason Robertson, the Tkachuk brothers, obviously will be 2 guys who will be in the mix for sure. Funny enough, actually, look,
Matthew's not
there. Matthew's not there, but it's because he's not healthy, right?
Yeah, he like we're expecting that he was supposed to have that procedure.
Yeah,
or he was still debating if he was going to have that procedure for his injury from the playoffs. So don't think it'd be wise for him to be skating around with those questions.
He'll be there. He'll be on the team. I don't think anyone's worried about Matthew Tkachuk having to be there for the coaches to see him, to give him an opportunity to make the roster. If he's healthy, he'll be there in Milano in February. That's for sure. But I look at it though, like it's going to be tough for Matthew Knies. Like it's just a really good group of players, like Boldy and Gensel and Caulfield. I think Logan Cooley's a hell of a player. Kyle Connor, clearly a top-tier goal scorer in the NHL. Like Tage Thompson has proven that he can be a 40 to 50 goal scorer at the NHL level. Alex Tuch does a lot of similar things, that Matthew Knies does. Chris Kreider, who is, basically just an older version of what Matthew Knies would love to become. He's obviously going to be in the fold here for the Americans. So, when I look at Matthew Knies and his likelihood of making the team, I think it's almost a coin flip at this point. He's certainly going to have to get off to a really good start for the Maple Leafs this year in order to put himself in pole position to make the team and in one of these roster spots. But what I think certainly would help him is if him and Austin Matthews get off to an unbelievable start here at the beginning of the season, because in a short tournament like this, you don't have a whole lot of time to create chemistry. So if you have a line mate or a teammate at your NHL club that you play really well with, that is capable of being an Olympian, a la Knies and Matthews, you're more likely to kind of bring those two together as a team. Like we've seen that time and time again in the Olympics where they've done that. Like think back to what was it, that Sharks line from back in the day, Jumbo, Marlowe, and Heatley. They were there together, right? Kunitz came alongside Sidney Crosby. Like this is just something that we see happen from time to time. Not to say that I don't think Matthew Knies is deserving of being on this roster himself, but I just believe if it comes down to Knies or this player, he may get the edge because he can play and has chemistry with Austin Matthews, who is going to be a top-line star for this American team.
Well, yeah, that's like I didn't really had considered that point, but like now that you bring it up, like it makes a lot of sense because maybe they could do what they did in Four Nations, just throw Matthews with the Tkachuk brothers and see if that trio can work. But like other than being a linemate of Austin Matthews, like Matthew Knies also ticks a lot of boxes. That you brought up some really good players. But like Knies has that dimension of he can play on the penalty kill. He can do some of the other things that maybe some of the goal scoring forwards don't do that often. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure the coaching staff, I think it's still Mike Sullivan that's coaching the U.S. Team. Like he may want to consider that because you want to make sure that you're going to give Austin Matthews the best opportunity to be at his best. And if him and Knies are, showing some really good chemistry, and they're dominating this. To start this season, it's gonna be hard to break those two up.
I agree. So we'll see again the orientation camp next weekend for the Americans and Canadians to see who they'll bring to the Olympics. You don't have to be invited to the camp to get a shot at the Olympics. And there is one Maple Leaf who was not invited to the camp. I consider him a snub, who will, I think, have an opportunity to compete for a spot. So we'll tell you who that is and a couple other snubs at the U.S. orientation camp. That's next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Have you ever decided that last minute you want to head to the ball game with your friends or family? Maybe it's a game day. You suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even bigger groups to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Price on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. That's right. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of the Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for exciting upcoming MLB games. You want to go down to the Dome, catch a Blue Jays game, go check out Game Time and use the code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morisuti with you, as we are each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until we get to training camp, then we're back to 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. All Leafs, all the time, right here on the Locked On Leafs podcast. And so Matthews and I will be at the orientation camp next weekend. Goaltender Anthony Stolarz will not be at orientation camp. And it's not that I think Anthony Stolarz is going to make the team or would make the team. That's probably already situated over there. Like, they've got Connor Hellebuck, who's their number one goaltender, Jay Gottinger, Jeremy Swayman, probably the three goalies that they'll end up taking to the tournament. But they elected to bring a fourth goaltender to the orientation camp. And this is where I'm perplexed and where the snub status comes in for me. Dave, is Joey Daccord, fine goalie, but is Joey Daccord a better goaltender than Anthony Stolarz? I don't think so.